Dominion's searching the seabed for lost metal worth its weight in gold.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And for that, they're busting out the newest ship in their fleet.
It's a Swiss Army knife, that's what it is.
But is searching for buried treasure at the bottom of the ocean a doomed fool's errand?
It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
By hook or by crook, they want their anchors.
Bring daddy an anchor.
For 50 years, this family's built a business where nobody else dares. Recovering, repairing, and resurrecting anything in the world's most dangerous waters. This is their world. Salt water in their blood, come hell and high water.
It's go time. Do or die.
Dominion HQ, everybody's up early prepping for a big recovery mission.
Hey guys, safe travels.
Yeah.
See you there.
A ship has lost its anchor. We've been called in to give the client back their lost, missing anchor.
It was lost off a massive search and rescue vessel. It's a huge anchor.
This anchor is 10 tons roughly. A heavy-duty piece of metal.
Now Matt's hitting the road armed with GPS coordinates of the anchor's precise location.
Today we're gonna start mapping the seabed to see if we can find that hard target. If we find that hard target, we send the divers in to connect up the anchor to the A-frame on the Bearcat. This will be easier than when E.T. was looking for his home.
Matt's feeling good, and who can blame him? It's a beautiful day for a drive up Nova Scotia's eastern shore.
The missing anchor is in Sheet Harbor. It's an old historic port. Beautiful, picturesque town, but very remote.
Sheet Harbor's 150 kilometers northeast of Halifax, a thin channel fed by two raging rivers.
Right now we're crossing over the river that used to have a power generating dam.
This is an area Matt knows well.
Dominion Diving has done quite a few jobs over its history down in Sheet Harbor. Just recently we did a massive bridge replacement, and we had to remove the old bridge in sections. Actually, we're gonna meet up with Herbie and the boys right next to that bridge.
The dive team's waiting when Matt arrives, but Herbie's nowhere to be found.
What up, dude?
Hurry up and wait.
Pretty much.
Herbie's one of Dominion's old guard. He's just as well to take the ocean highway to this job, even if it means an early morning.
Herbie left at 3 a.m. because it's gonna take a lot longer for the vessel to transit that distance. A boat does 10 knots max. That's not very fast.
When Herbie does arrive, the water's too shallow for the Dominion Bearcat to land.
So we're gonna try to get in to the big dock over there.
There's a public dock just up the way, but they're locked out. A combo of sure-footedness and acrobatics prevail.
See, simple.
Oliver, go to lines up, let's go.
Finally, they're loaded up, but they're also behind schedule, and they haven't even started working. With the GPS coordinates locked in, Herbie sets course for the missing anchor.
The black dot is the vessel. That's the Bearcat. You can see it moving along the screen. We're gonna be coming out of Sheet Harbor. So then we're gonna come out and around to where the anchor is.
It may all seem like a lot of work to retrieve something designed for the ocean floor.
It's a highly designed piece of metal to be able to take certain forces and restrict that vessel from failing and going on land.
They're the brakes of any boat. Without it, you're at the mercy of the tide.
That anchor might be life or death.
Anchors ain't cheap either.
Cost on these things goes from $100 up to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And a boat this size is gonna have an anchor too big to write off as a sunk cost. Believe it or not, they're easier to lose than most people think.
I've lost 3 of them.
A ship can lose the anchor a few different ways, but the most common way is your master link, the area where the anchor swivels and pivots and is hooked to the chain itself. So there's lots of stress and strain put on that area. You might think you got a good master link, you can inspect it all you want. It could fail at any time.
We're 56 feet off it.
As the Bearcat pulls up on location, Matt's confident his team can find the anchor and make their client very happy.
We're gonna find this. We got it. No, gotta. We're gonna. Gonna. Not gotta. We don't give up.
But the dive team and dive supervisor Gary isn't quite so sure.
It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
They got precise GPS coordinates where the anchor's supposed to be, 15 meters below, but it's not that easy. A ship might pay out up to 25 meters or more of anchor chain at this depth. That means, depending on the drift of the boat at the moment the anchor was lost, it could be anywhere within a 50-meter diameter of where they think it is.
Okay, Gary, let her go there.
They start the search by dropping a buoy on the coordinates given to them. They're finally ready to start their search, and step 1 means dropping their own anchor, a gigantic rusty disc known as a clump weight.
The reason why we use a clump weight is so that way we're not hooking or damaging anything underwater. It's just basically a park break. And then we'll send the divers in to try to locate the anchor. If at that point they're not successful, then we'll go to plan B.
Plan B is a side scan sonar.
That's how you do your seabed mapping.
It's great tech, but more expensive and time-consuming than anything Matt had hoped for today.
So right now our beams are pointing far apart. We're gonna bring them in a little closer.
While Gary preps for a possible Plan B,
All right, good luck in there, bud.
diver Aiden's hoping that Plan A will be A-OK. But Gary knows the challenge ahead.
Finding things underwater is not easy, even with all the technology.
They got the GPS location and the diver in the water. But if they don't find it here, this haystack's gonna get a whole lot bigger. Dominion's been hired to find an anchor lost somewhere in this remote harbor. Diver Aiden's already in the water searching for that precious weight.
So you want to swim over to the buoy?
Aiden's armed with 15 meters of rope, which he'll attach to the buoy's anchor.
All right, yeah, go down.
Underwater, Aiden follows the buoy line down into the murky world below.
Starting to see bottom there?
Yep, starting to see bottom.
We'll try to stay off bottom. Is it rocky bottom? No, don't stir it up.
It's all silt. I'm trying to get back up off the bottom without stirring it up here.
Yeah.
At this depth, he's only got an hour of dive time to find the anchor.
All right, I'll hook myself onto this little weight and start doing some circles then.
Yeah, I guess so.
Using the 15-meter rope as a guide, the diver must search in ever-widening concentric circles, using the buoy as a starting point and widening out from there. And the visibility is terrible. It looks like a chocolate milkshake down here.
Don't really see any evidence of anything down there, eh?
Yep, not seen anything yet.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that there would be a drag mark or something.
We're gonna look now for anything on the seabed. So instead of it being flat and smooth, something that has penetrated the seabed, trails, drag marks, then we'll know we're in the region.
Gary thinks maybe the drag from the broken anchor chain left a trail to the anchor itself.
Ooh, what's that? Something? No?
Negative.
Probably just crabs and lobster crawling across making lines.
I haven't seen anything alive yet.
But the only thing down here is a whole lot of nothing.
Pretty unexciting bottom, eh? We'll be able to figure out where you're at. It's just dirt.
With this thick layer of silt, it's possible Aiden's swimming right on top of the anchor and doesn't even know it.
Is there like a pile of stuff there?
Yeah.
You reach your hand in, is there anything in there? When they dropped it, it probably would have just sunk in, and so there probably is not even a drag mark, right? It's heavy, it might be, you know, buried.
Aiden's shoulder deep in the mud, but all he comes up with is more silt.
About the end of the rope, I'm going to do one more flop around. If I don't see anything, I'll switch over to the training wheel and do circles around that.
Yeah.
Aiden's completed the circle search, but no anchor. He uses the little dive time he's got left to keep searching. But down here, everything is just flat and featureless.
Well, we failed.
Finally, he comes up for air.
We didn't find the anchor on this first dive, so we're gonna switch to the side scan and see if we can find anything with that.
But first, they need to pull up the clump weight anchor. Dominion's small anchor was buried 3 meters in silt. Just imagine how deep a 2-ton anchor would sink into this silty seabed. They gotta get the boat moving just to flush the muck off before they can bring the anchor back aboard. Good thing Matt's got a plan B.
We got a different approach now. We're gonna go try side scanning, plot our coordinates. If we can plot something that seems pretty viable, we'll throw the next diver in.
Traditional sonar sends sound waves from the boat straight down, but side scan sonar shoots a beam of sound from both sides of the boat, mapping the area from surface to seabed.
It's another tool in your tickle trunk to go at uncovering the ocean's mysteries.
The monitor shows the boat's path, with the vessel's location in the middle. Herbie circles the Bearcat around the area where the anchor was lost. There's enough feedback below to convince Matt it's worth a second look.
See? Right there.
Yeah.
So we're hitting a couple hard targets. We've gone over it a few different ways, transitioned across. There's an indication of disturbance on the seabed, and then this hard target is in the same location. We're gonna drop a diver in to see what we can find.
Christian kits up and leaps into the fray. He begins another circle search, this time around the new target Matt found during the side scan. But when Christian gets down there, the hard target is just a bed of seaweed.
Nothing out of the ordinary, eh?
Nope, it is a muddy bottom, that is it.
He continues his circle search for an hour, while Matt waits anxiously.
Christian. Bring Daddy an anchor.
But in the end, Plan B is a bust.
All right, we don't got the viz to be able to do this effectively with just the diver, so you can leave bottom.
Gary logs his diver's bottom time, and Christian aborts his mission. This anchor's becoming a real white whale for Matt, but he's not giving up yet. Bring on Plan C.
Don't worry about talking to anybody. If no one's at the gate, just drive through to the dock. Plan C, we've already called in for backup. We're gonna bring down the Chinook.
The Chinook ROV's already on its way down here from Dominion headquarters. But they got a detour back into Sheet Harbor to pick up this small but mighty remotely operated vehicle. With the Chinook, Matt can check out hotspots quicker as they adjust their flight path to cover even more ground with the side scan.
Before we were heading north to south, now we're gonna be heading west to east, east to west, back and forth. So like, again, that gives us 100% coverage, cross grid, over the area where the last known coordinates were.
Herbie's crisscrossed the area several times now, and Matt zeroed in on a couple targets warranting some robotic investigation.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You don't like going home empty-handed, so that's why we're throwing more technology, more options, more plans at this.
Yeah, so we're putting the ROV in. It's got unlimited bottom time, and it can see further than we can with the sonar. It can see about 75 feet. So as we're searching, if we see any hard targets, then we know and we can just beeline right for it. So.
Matt stations himself at the control panel, connected to Chinook by 300 meters of cable.
Okay, we're now on bottom. At this time, at this direction, I'm not seeing anything. A hard target on here will show up as a brighter color. Look at that. She's glowing. That's a hard target.
I did find a hard target. It was an anchor. Unfortunately, I got too excited when I hit the target. It's the clump weight that we're using to hold ourselves on position on site. And of course, it was buried in the seabed.
This was supposed to be like catching fish in a barrel, but after a full day of searching, Matt's unwavering optimism is running dry.
If we don't pick up the anchor in the next couple locations, then at some point in time we'll have to be like ET and phone home.
All anyone can do now is wait as Matt desperately scans through the silt below.
They could give us the exact coordinates. Could be pinpointed with the offsets and everything, and the anchor's just gone in the mud because the seabed is really soft, muddy crud.
They've exhausted plan A, B, and C, and the hunt that was supposed to be a lock has gone completely off the chains.
We've done all the different methods that we've utilized in the past to locate something. It might just be gone to Davy Jones's locker.
Matt's master plan is officially stuck in the mud. Time to pick up their own anchor and head home. Dominion's fleet of ocean-going vessels is unmatched, but Robin's always on the lookout for ships that'll take things to the next level.
I was on the internet searching around and looking for cargo tugs that could carry cargo and self-unload. And I kept running into these multicats.
The multicat is a relatively new kind of ocean-going vessel, prized for maneuverability and versatility.
It's a Swiss Army knife, that's what it is.
Whether it's towing, tugging, installing offshore equipment, or conducting maintenance and repairs, Multicat's powerful winches, offshore cranes, and spacious flat deck make them an ideal vessel for almost any offshore job. Robin wanted to bring that kind of capability to the Dominion fleet, and today he is finally getting the keys to a multicat of his own. The Dominion Warrior.
Its name from the previous owners was the Coastal Warrior, and we found the name to be fitting, so we kept it.
Classed as a tug, this workhorse vessel sports a pair of twin fixed-pitch propellers. Its engines max out at 1,200 horsepower, capable of towing up to 15 tons. Multicats are commonplace in Europe, where Robin found his on a job offshore in Guinea, Africa.
Went down, took it for a spin, kind of liked it. It was 10 years old. It was a couple $1 million, and came back and made a deal.
But getting it home was a mega job.
We contracted Jumbo Shipping, came in with a ship that picks it up and puts it inside of its belly. Something out of Star Wars kind of thing. The Warrior weighs 200 tons.
Right now, they're doing the preliminary hookup. They're positioning all the rigging and getting the vessel completely prepared to lift. It's a complicated lift. It's a tandem lift between two cranes. Every movement that's made by one crane has to be counteracted by the other to ensure that the distance between the rigging doesn't change at all. Everything has to go perfect, has to be perfectly under control the entire time, or it'll undo like a zipper. 3 years of hard work, a lot of money. There you go. First multicat in North America, just touched the water. Wow.
But once it arrived, the Warrior needed to be retrofitted to make it street legal for work 320 kilometers out at sea. They added a lifeboat and a crane, modified the air intake, and expanded the crew quarters from 4 berths to 10.
So we're down below deck on the Warrior. This is Captain's cabin here. As you can see, very spacious and luxurious. This is our second area in here. This is a 2-person cabin. In here, this is the cattle car. 4 bunks in this room, so this is nice and cozy.
The Warrior even has a special spot for a key member of the Dominion family.
This is the most important part of the boat right here. This is the galley. And this is the most important person on the boat. This is the cook. Carolyn Lonis just happens to be my sister. This is the engine room down here. These are Tier 2 emissions rated engines, and they're each kicking out 600 horsepower. Both these engines were rebuilt completely from the bottom to the top at the time of purchase. As you go down through here, we got our, these are our 2 generators. We move through here, the centerpiece of the whole vessel as far as controls go. This is all your electrical supply and control and distribution. This wall that we're looking at here, this is the fuel tank. These are your fuel gauges, good old-fashioned sight glasses. This thing holds about 50 tons of fuel. This vessel can run at full power for almost a month with the fuel and the water that it has available. This vessel only draws 2 meters of water. So a little bit bigger than me, deep in the water, and we're able to carry, 100 tons of cargo. It's pretty amazing. A lot happening here in a small package.
The Warrior's been on active duty with Dominion for about a year now, but neither Matt or Robin has actually taken it out on a job.
You ready to go find some stuff?
Yeah.
That changes today.
We're gonna go after another anchor.
The anchor weighs about 6 tons, so the only vessel that we got that's got handling gear to handle that is the Warrior.
They're putting together a team of Dominion's top ranks for a scavenger hunt in search of an old family heirloom.
It's an anchor that the old man lost years and years ago.
Way back in the day, my father lost an anchor and recorded the coordinates.
A 5 or 6 ton anchor might be 10 or 15 grand if you had to go and buy one brand new.
With the Warrior, Herbie, Sean, Robin, Lorraine, this is a fun family outing. That's what this is. We're gonna go get Dad's anchor back.
On its way out of Duck Rock, you can see the Warrior appears a little different from the rest of Dominion's fleet.
Kind of resembles a barge that's self-propelled.
But its flat bottom and square sides are what keeps it stable on the rockiest of waters. And with the deck barely 4 feet above the waterline, waves crashing aboard is a fact of life.
You don't try to keep all the water off the deck. They're designed to operate with a lot of water all around them, you know what I mean? They don't stay up above the water. A lot of water will pass over its deck.
But it's the crane at the bow that's this boat's real muscle. It can lift up to 30 tons. It's a telescopic crane, which means it can extend up to 15 meters, and even at full height, it can still lift 11 tons. To support all that weight, a thick column extends all the way through the boat and connects to the shell plate.
It kind of makes the boat because it just gives you the ability to handle stuff on deck, overboarding large items. It's a really nice little system.
Once they arrive on the location of the long-gone anchor, Robin can finally get this crane into action and drop their own anchor.
So what the crane's gonna do is just put it over the edge, and then we're gonna lower it down with the winch, with the deck winch over the deck roller.
They get their massive clump weight anchor into the water, but then change the cable over to the 25-ton deck winch. Now they wait. It's a long wait. They're out on the open ocean now and staring down at the depths below.
The depth is our biggest obstacle. We're at 64 meters. That's beyond any normal diving limits. Yes, there is divers that have done it in the past, but not our divers. We will not allow that danger for our divers. To do it in a safer manner, you'd have to use mixed gases, chambers, and that's a whole other program.
But it's only a $20,000 anchor. To do this job with divers, you'd spend 10 times that.
Now that $20,000 doesn't look so shiny anymore.
So instead of divers, they're bringing out the Chinook, their trusty workhorse with a 6-digit price tag.
I'm gonna go down just with the ROV free flying, have a look.
Sean launches the ROV. Now Lorraine takes center stage. She flies the ROV straight down to the bottom where no light penetrates. The ROV lights reveal something totally unexpected.
Next thing you know, Uncle Matt, come take a look. I go inside. Right fast, we figured out why the anchor is lost, what it got snaggled on. It's a shipwreck.
They were looking for a single anchor, but it looks like Dominion may have gotten a lot more than they bargained for. "40 years ago, Matt and Robin's dad lost an anchor in this precise location at the mouth of the harbor. Now his sons want to salvage it and put it back into use. They found the anchor.
So your anchor's right here.
But that's not all they found.
Made perfect sense. What it got lodged in, and why it got stuck there in the first place was a shipwreck that was located right there.
This is one of the oldest settled harbors in North America, and its deepest depths are a graveyard for centuries of ships. At least 50 we know about, and countless more still undiscovered. But one thing's for sure, retrieving this anchor just got a whole hell of a lot more difficult.
Shipwrecks and ROVs just don't mix all that well, mainly because of the cord that's going down there. I mean, there's a million different snags and hazards down there.
Okay, we got a lot of jagged metal, lots of fishing ropes from the vessel itself. We're still now gonna get our anchor back, but we got this other level of hazards that we gotta identify and work with.
They have a plan, and they're sticking to it.
Lorraine came up with this unique tool that folds and then springs open when it's on the opposite side of the shackle that's on the anchor.
It's a spring-loaded hook that allows the rope and the buoy or the float to be on the other side of the loop and come up.
So the ROV is going to fly down, and Lorraine's going to stab this unit. She'll back the ROV up, and we're going to be left with a rope tied on the end here.
Lorraine then has to dislodge the custom tool, swinging Schnook around to catch a loop of rope with a metal hook attached to the ROV. It's the same idea as threading a sewing needle, but done with an underwater robot.
Take that up to the surface, and that will establish a rope, a running line, down through the shackle, back up to the surface.
But that's just the first rope of a 3-rope maneuver.
You hook that rope to the bigger rope, which would be the 1-inch.
The crew will then pull a 1-inch rope back through the shackle, finally tying rope number 3, which is actually a 1.5-inch steel cable.
That's hooked to a 50-ton winch. That is going to be our main lifting cable. Once we get that down through the shackle of the anchor, we can start bringing it back up with the anchor in tow.
It's a totally harebrained scheme, but it might just be crazy enough to work. From the control room, Lorraine flies Chinook down onto the shipwreck.
How do you make it out?
Okay, I'm going in for it.
No pressure. Oh, Lorraine!
It's not side slipping very well right now.
No.
It's not really turning very well at all, to be honest with you.
It's the depth. You got currents, you got sea swell, you got everything pulling and moving you around, throwing the ROV around. So you're trying to control the out of control effects that are happening. It's right there. You can see it. We have to go for it.
Lorraine's floating all around it, but she can't hook it.
It's pulling me all over the place.
Matt's eager for a turn at the controls.
Want me to try? Okay.
Finally, he steps in.
Pulling me.
Yep.
Nope. Pulling me again.
Okay.
But Matt isn't faring much better. The ROV's bouncing around like a bucking bronco.
There's quite a swell down there.
How's it going, Matt?
It's a bit of a bastard. As soon as I get near it, she starts going wonky on me.
Matt comes close, but too close. He makes contact with the anchor, dislodging the spring tool. Round 1 ends. Advantage, anchor. With Chinook back on board, they need to modify the tool's design, so it'll only dislodge when they want it to.
You don't want too much resistance where the ROV can't pull away from it, but you don't want too little resistance so it keeps falling out. So we just added zip ties, some resistance, and another layer of black tape.
Thank God for black electrical tape. Back she goes.
3.
Lorraine's at the control once again. Gaining confidence, she almost gets it. And then,
Yeah, baby!
she hits it. But there's a problem.
It's a lot bigger than we thought it is.
The shackle's too large for their tool. The anchor wins the second round too.
Oh, I come out. God
and pull it
damn
back.
it.
All right, pull her up.
Even more modifications are needed.
You were close, were you?
We're in it. You can go in like that, Robin, and you won't touch either side.
Once again, it's black tape to the rescue. They extend the wingspan of the spring-loaded grappling tool.
Try that, homie.
The Never Say Die Dominion crew is ready for round 3. Lorraine's back in command.
Yeah, you fucker.
She's a born and raised sea dog, just like her uncles Matt and Robin.
Listen to your potty mouth.
So cursing like a sailor's in her DNA.
God
and pull it
damn
back.
it. Could it be?
Could it be?
It's like what pushing me, eh? Oh, see? My lad swears.
But flying an ROV runs in her blood too.
Right now we got it inside the shank.
They got it through the shackle, but now the tool won't dislodge. Maybe a little too much of that trusty black tape?
Now we're trying to get it to release the ROV so that we can go around the opposite side and grab it with the hook and drag it to the surface.
Lorraine alternates quickly between forward and reverse, like trying to free a tire that's stuck in the mud.
Ah, we're released. We're released. So now we got the task of hooking the loop.
They finally got the anchor on the ropes, but this fight's only just begun. The Dominion brothers are fishing for an anchor from one of their dad's old ships.
See how big it is, Robin? No, it's not tiny. We have established the 1/4-inch rope through the anchor. We got to make the ROV now go to the opposite side to grab onto it, bring it to the surface. Try to go in behind it and pull the hook up.
But operating the ROV in blustery underwater conditions is taking a toll on Lorraine.
Man, I'm so close. It's literally right there.
Can I try a couple things?
Yeah.
Yep.
Matt takes a turn and gets lucky right off the hop.
Got it. Got it.
But then, everything starts falling apart.
Still got it?
Oh yeah. It's not coming up.
The rope isn't budging. The messenger line they're trying to bring to the surface must be caught up on the shipwreck.
How do you guys want to start coming in on the ROV tether?
Lorraine asks Robin and Sean to pull up on the umbilical to loosen the slack.
Keep coming in on tether.
But it's a delicate balance. If they pull out the umbilical cord, this $100,000 ROV is sunk.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
All right, come in on tether quickly.
Matt's hooked in, but the rope's caught up. There's so much resistance, the hook begins to straighten out. And then things get worse.
Whoa.
Hold on rope fast.
That's not exactly what I want to happen. Now, it's almost that the messenger line is threaded backwards.
We're gonna lose it.
We're snaggled on something.
Matt tries to salvage the situation, but the bent hook is too out of shape. It slips out of the loop.
Come back up with the ROV.
Recovering ROV.
As they pull the ROV in, Matt can see the problem. The messenger line's all tangled up with a piece of the shipwreck. They need a new plan, and quick. They're losing ground by the second.
Let's pray that that rope stays there and we can grab it and bring it to the surface.
The retrieval hook was bent from the strain of pulling.
Yeah, just now bend that around, curl it right around.
Luckily, they can fabricate a new one. All the grinders and welders they need are already on board. Lorray attaches the new tool to the ROV, but Robin has serious reservations about Matt's plan.
This here, if we hook onto the rope,
We had slack in the rope up here on the surface, and we couldn't pull, and the umbilical was going tight. That's what I'm saying. Let's say you get on the rope, and the rope's caught on something. What do you do? What do you do with your ROV?
Robin's getting nervous. If their prized ROV gets tangled again, and they can't retrieve it, they're flushing over $100 grand into the ocean. Nobody wants that. So Matt makes some adjustmts, opening the hook to make it easier to free if necessary.
all right, let's go in and give it another go.
But as Chinook goes into the water, Matt knows he's into the final round. Lorray takes it to the bottom.
I love this little ROV so much. I really do.
She's got her bearings now and quickly lands next to the anchor.
Right now, we're trying to reestablish connection to the hook through the opposite side of the shank.
Basically, we're trying to hook the hook.
Yeah, we're trying to hook the hook with the hook so that we can get up through the hook. Once we get that, then we can start thrusting up and try to, there we go. And start coming up on that.
Hey, fucker!
Lorray's frustrated. Stronger hook or not, they're still caught up. If they're gonna make any progress, they need to untangle the messenger line from the shipwreck.
With the entanglement, we don't got the full range of motion with the ROV.
Untying it is like trying to untie a knot with only one hand, underwater. The whole operation's turned into a spectator sport, and the fans are getting restless, especially Robin.
All kinds of fun. When you have a diver down there, he has a larger field of view. He has more dexterity. He can do all kinds of stuff. With an ROV, their field of view is very small, so it's hard to get a general spatial awareness for everything that's going on down there. When they get themselves snagged, that's a major problem.
Oh, it's back underneath.
No, sorry.
There you go. It's hooked under that corner there, too. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Having a hard time even just pulling this rope, right?
The more Lorray tries to free the rope, the more tangled it gets.
So, I don't know what is caught under, but it's caught under something.
So you gotta come underneath that, this coil. So if you come over here and go down, thrust down, you'll get a different angle on it.
Finally, she frees Chinook from the wreck, but things just keep getting worse.
We're now entangled around the rope.
The ROV umbilical is wound up with the messenger line. It's too short of a leash.
We can't seem to move the ROV. We have a problem here. We just don't have the full range of motion with the system.
At this point, they aren't trying to retrieve the anchor anymore. They're just trying to save the ROV. Matt takes control of the sticks.
Lorray's one of my best pilots. I have full confidence in what she's able to do with that ROV, but I've been doing ROVs for 20 plus years. When shit's hitting the fan, I gotta be the one taking responsibility for it. So if that ROV is gonna be lost, I would like to be the one that's taking the heat for something that I did.
Can they salvage this mission? Or is Chinook doomed to join the watery graveyard below? Matt and Robin have gone the distance in a non-stop battle to retrieve their dad's anchor.
So your anchor's right here.
It was supposed to be a fun family outing, but nothing's gone right.
Hold on rope fast.
Ocean currents have made operating the ROV nearly impossible.
It's like pushing me, eh?
Their lines are tangled up with the jagged metal of the shipwreck, and they've had to modify plans at every stage of the way.
Try that, homie.
Now the ROV's umbilical's tied up with the messenger line they hooked earlier. They need to rescue the ROV from the brink of disaster. And that burden rests entirely on Matt's shoulders.
Now that's what he does. Matt will sit down and take his time and untangle itself, and that's pretty neat to watch. He's top-notch operator.
He disentangles just enough to give himself a little room to maneuver and resumes the hunt for the missing anchor.
But now we're gonna go after trying to reestablish the connection point for the ROV.
But with all the tugging on the messenger line, it's just barely protruding out the eye.
The slightest little touch could change this project. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? Fall down through, go to the seabed? Nothing's gonna happen if we don't do something now. Time's a ticking. We're gonna go in, we're gonna grab it, we're gonna bring it to surface.
Matt tries desperately to control the ROV, but it's bobbing and weaving in the current like a prize fighter in their prime. He nudges it the wrong way, and Laray's carefully crafted hook slips through the anchor ring and heads for the bottom.
And we did exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen. We touched the rope and the tool in such a way that it dropped through and went to the seabed.
Oh, what?
No, I didn't get it. So, that there is pretty much it for us with what we're doing now.
In on the rope, quickly.
Okay, you want to pull right up?
Yeah, pull up.
Don't think it's gonna happen today.
They pull the ROV up and untangle the messenger line from the umbilical.
Risk or reward, Matthew.
Yep.
And we've proven that the risk is too high. So that's that. You're gonna lose that, and you're not gonna get what you came here to get. One of the two or both.
It's a tough pill to swallow, but Big Brother Robin knows the math on this operation is just not adding up.
That ROV right there is worth about 10 times what that anchor's worth. So we're gonna call it, we're gonna knock it on the head for today.
But the fun isn't over yet. They pull up their clump weight anchor to discover a badly frayed cable. They were this close to losing their own anchor.
Man, oh man, oh man. Okay. Whoa. Stop.
They tie on another cable hooked up to a second deck winch and then carefully pull the anchor aboard.
Okay, we can stop.
Robin is done with this shipwreck.
This got caught up on some debris on the bottom, and this is just an example of some of the shit that's down there that we're trying to deal with.
But as they head home, Matt and Robin still got anchors on the brain.
I know where there's a couple more anchors. This isn't the last one. We got some tricks up our sleeve that we can fix this up with.
At this point here, we'll have to regroup, figure out what we're gonna do next. There's anchors all over the place. So maybe when we're re-kitted, different technique, we'll go after them ones. Anchors galore.
Dominion's 50-year family business got started by salvaging back what the sea steals away. The boats may be bigger, and the tech never stops improving, but the bottom of the ocean's just as fierce as ever. They may lose a battle from time to time, but winning the war is the real mission of the Lords of the Ocean.